I didn't say hello to you, Josephine.
Hello, how are you?
Greetings. Greetings. It's like a whole different world right here, so.
All right, good to go.
All right, everybody, greetings. Welcome to the Chelsea Land Use Committee meeting for the month of October. MCB4, hello Dave. MCB4 has a hybrid policy that can be found on our website. Board members are expected to attend meetings in person unless they have a disability and or an extraordinary circumstance. Excused members of the public still be able to participate virtually. Members who are joining via Zoom must leave their cameras on. This meeting is being streamed live on our YouTube channel and a transcript is being recorded. As you know, if there are disruptions, we put the meeting on pause and restart when the disruption's cleared. We are in a new space today. It's great to be here. Welcome, happy fall to everyone in the room. I want to do two things before we start. There are two formal agenda items out there today. 475 West 22nd Street window replacement. Mark, you're going to lead that. I'll tell you when to go on that. And then we'll switch over into the committee discussion and vote with statement of district needs and budget requests for fiscal year 2027. There's always old and new business options at the end. But before we do that, I just want to say the last time we convened together, the last time we were together as a Chelsea Land Use Committee, it was, I believe, August. And we were in a setting, I believe, at Hudson Guild. And during the course of that meeting, I just want to say that was a challenging night. I think this committee acted with grace in every way imaginable to accept a lot of frustration, disappointment, lots of feelings about the Fulton Elliott Chelsea conversation. And I just want to express my gratitude to this committee for having been present in that. You know, look, this committee, we agree sometimes, we don't agree on lots of different parts. That was a very challenging setting. And I just want to let everybody in this room and online know how much I appreciate the way in which we were able to receive a lot of response and reaction to a very significant thing. And that we did our best, I think, to be as open and respectful as we could be, even in a circumstance that in which case, in some cases, there was a lot of frustration, disappointment, even anger directed in our direction, fairly or unfair. I just want you all to be aware how much I appreciated that. That said, the work related to, and I want to note, it was this committee that came up with a very significant line that was at the beginning of the letter about what it was that this board was going to stand for related to this project. And then as a full board, we voted on it. So again, thank you for making the extra time. Thank you for being present. Thank you for being engaged. I know these are hard conversations. We don't always agree, but we got somewhere. And I think the actual real work is happening now and forward, because regardless of how things unfold, we know this is going to continue to be a very challenging time and environment. I look forward to continuing to work with you, not just on Fulton Elliott Chelsea, which has, I think, been the focus of our work in the last X number of months. It will continue to be a key project. There are other projects we need to dig into, but I just want to say once again, thank you for your effort, your patience, and your consideration. And once again, let's give it up for Jesse, by the way. I want to give it up for Jesse as well, because he has to embrace all of it all the time, and it's always coming at you, sir. On that note, I think we're ready to switch gears and do this presentation. 475 West 22nd, it's a window replacement. And Mark, why don't you introduce yourself? And you can talk to us about the project, and we will ask questions and respond. And we need to get to a vote at some point during the course of this conversation. Once again, there are two items on the agenda. It's this one, and we need to make time, obviously, for the district needs and budget requests. So let's be sensitive to time as we dig into this project. Mark, please introduce yourself. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time and your dedication. So I'm Mark. I represent the owner of this project of the window replacement, and I'm also the CEO of Maison Jeannot, which is a window manufacturer. And so let's discuss about this project. So it's related to the address 473 West 22nd Street. The apartment is the number 4. This building is a co-op, so the owner is a part of the owning the building with other owners. He has the apartment number 4. And he called us to replace its windows on the third level. Here, if you see my mouse. And previously to that, he asked all the other owners of the building if it was okay for them to replace these windows with our solution. So you can read the general project notes. So the installing contractor, which is a firm from Newark, is responsible for all the final measurement. And the scope of work is located, as I mentioned, in apartment 4 of the third floor. The existing windows to be noticed are non-original to the building. They are already replacement. And the proposed windows are manufactured by my company, Maison Janot. The existing units are in poor condition. They are not energy inefficient and difficult to operate. All the windows and on this point 4, that's the main reason the owner wants to replace them, especially because his daughters sleep in these rooms facing the street. And there's a lot of noise, and he wants more efficiency with the noise reduction. And I'm going to explain you why with this solution we can improve the noise reduction. So all the windows to be replaced with the existing masonry opening, so there's no changes to the opening dimensions. Existing window exterior are painted in black. I will show, so you can see on the pictures, and I have all other pictures as well.
Mark,
yes?
if you're flipping through your slides, I don't know if you are or not, but we're not seeing that. We're just still in the first slide. I just want to make sure.
That's
Okay.
just the first slide. Yeah, thank you for asking, Jesse. And the rear facade is not visible from the street, so there's no effect. So let me change. Can you see it change right now?
Yes.
All right. So this is in the Chelsea Historic District extension, as you can see in red, the red area here, and the blue area is the Historic District boundary, the actual boundary, and the red is the extension. So this building dates from 1855. It was built and owned by William B. Dixon at first. And so from then, and the original use is residential. It's still residential use today. And so there were like different window change between that time and now. And you can see here the man at the window. It's the apartment we are dealing with right now. So with this view, with this elevation, we can see the scope of the work. So it's about these 4 windows facing the street, and the existing is on the left, and the proposed is on the right. So from an exterior point of view, there's no change to the architectural features, I would say. The only change is about the way the window is operated. So let me explain. On the existing, it's a hung window, so you slide it to the top. And on the proposed one, it's a fixed window at the top and a casement window at the bottom. So it's a tilt and turn casement window. So what does it mean? It's we can open it in swing, like full opening like this, and we can just pop the top from in swing. So really, that's a way to improve the noise efficiency. Why? Because when you have a hung window, you need clearance between the sash and the frame so that the window can slide. And because of this clearance, it limits its ability to reduce the sound or the air to get through or thermal performances. With a casement, when the casement is closed, the sash is compressed against the frame. There are gaskets, and so it prevents noise, air, and cold or heat to get through the window. So really, that was the purpose of the owner, to improve its efficiency with modern performances and still keep the historical character from view from the street, as you can see on this elevation. So when we have the floor plan from the top, it's you see A marks are the windows we are dealing with on the street, and also there are windows on the back of the building, and this scope is being reviewed at staff level by landmarks preservation. So here are existing photographies of the front facade, of the interior, the existing wood spiral, the existing wood seal, the bottom sash, the meeting rail, and the casing. So we have all this dimension to be able to replicate as much as we can and reproduce the same shapes and aesthetics, so it looks like historical. To continue with photographies, it's the rear facade. We've also hung windows to be replaced, and they are nearly the same with the wood casing at the exterior, and SDL, so simulated divided light. It's the mountain that crosses vertically the window here, like this one. So if we look at the window schedule, we are dealing with the 4 windows type A, I would say. So we keep the dimension of the masonry here, the width and the height. And the height, sorry, and the glazing, the proposed glazing is a little different because there are a little differences into the width of the profile, and we are in the right difference, less 6%. It's within the what is mandatory for the landmarks preservation, so we are within this good range. When we look into detail to the window elevation, it looks like this. So type A facing the street, the existing on the left, the proposed on the right. So as I mentioned, the operation is different. It's not going to slide, but it's going to open in swing or pop the top as a tilt and turn window. And I've got a picture at the end so that you can understand better maybe the concept of popping the top of the window. So here are vertical details, the double hung window existing on the left, and on the right side, it's the proposed vertical window that we suggest as a simulated hung window. So here we take advantage of this renovation to remove the old seals, because here you can see an addition of window replacement. So we can go back to the original window, removing these old seals and just keeping a new one. We reproduce also the same casing so that it looks historical as well. This view is on a horizontal detail. So from the top, you can see the two exact sections. Here on this one, on the proposed vertical, you see this dark line. In fact, it's to improve also the noise reduction. The glass is laminated. So what does it mean? You have 2 panes of glass pasted together with a plastic layer. So this plastic is transparent. It's very clear. You won't notice it, like on the windshield of your car. In fact, that's the same thing. So this layer will improve the noise reduction as well. But it's not black in reality. It's transparent. Here, it's at the back of the building, so we mention it here, but it's part of the LPC staff level review. The owner wanted to transform 1 windows from a double hung to a single casement. Here, it's a single casement that open in swing like this. He wanted to simplify the aesthetic and get more performances with the casement, as I mentioned before. And also, so that's the same thing, view from the top, from a horizontal detail, so you can see the difference. And the type B are the back of the apartment as well, and it's kind of the same thing. So, but this one on the right is fixed because in the same room he has another door, so he doesn't need to have a window that operates. So we wanted to simplify that as well. And this is the same thing, but view from the top. And here are some pictures of the in-swing opening. So this is the view from the exterior. So this is a small sample that we have at the workshop. So the proportions are not good. So we have to imagine them like bigger dimension. But anyway, that gives you an idea. So that reproduces the aesthetic from the exterior point of view. And from the interior point, there is two ways to operate it. That's the same window. So you can open it on the middle view in swing, like full open, and or you can just tilt and pop the top like this, just to ventilate. So that's how it works with that. And just to finish the presentation, in New York area, there are other projects that were accepted by landmarks with the same type of system, not from my company, but from other brands. When I mentioned same type of system, it's a fixed part at the top and casement at the bottom. So here it's the Morocco embassy. So you can see from the interior, here it's opening in swing, and here it's just pop the top. And this is another address here where you can see at the last level the same windows from an aesthetic point of view as the other one, but they are in fact casement at the bottom. So I think I'm done with the presentation, but I would be happy to answer your question about the project and about the windows and the replacement.
Thank you, Mark. Let's start with questions inside the room first, and then we'll go online. Anybody inside the room? Question? Good.
I have comments, but I don't have questions.
All right, let's do
Okay.
some comments. Want to go ahead?
Yeah, the problem that I have with this is that when the windows are open and you're walking past, it's gonna be obvious that these aren't historic style double hung windows. And the Landmarks Commission itself, in its row house manual, says that, new window sashes in frames on primary facade should be designed to replicate existing sashes and frames in configuration, operation, material, finish, and details. And I think the reasons for that are pretty self-evident and obvious. It's meant to look like a historic window, and historically, all of the 19th century row houses had double hung windows unless they had very tall casement windows. And in this case, historically, the windows have been double hung. So I would find it kind of a jarring exception to the historic character of the building and its context, and in violation of Landmarks rules. I don't know where the example is that you're giving of another row house that was landmarked where Landmarks approved it, but we've often had cases where the Landmarks Commission approved something that goes against their own regulations. Sometimes they miss. And to me, the spirit of the rule is to make it seem the same and to operate in the same way. I don't see a strong enough argument for deviating from that. And I think it would look a little bit bizarre to see something that looks like a double hung window and is open on the bottom in casement style.
Mark, any reaction or response to that? You feel free if you want to take a response to that. And then we'll go to you.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got several addresses there where it was accepted. For example, Horatio Street, Greenwich Avenue, Greenwich Street. So the Moroccan embassy I mentioned. So I understand your point, and we are in this process with the landmarks because of the text you mentioned at first about the operation. So that's why we are in the process of discussing and trying to find a solution to match. The historical character, which is obviously very important, and we are a window maker specialized in historical renovation, but still trying to upgrade, for the comfort and the performances of the building. So that's kind of a thing we want to try to match. I think most of the time, the windows are closed because you have the AC during the winter or during the summer, and really people don't really open the window, so it's not noticeable from the street. But I can understand your point.
Pam, go ahead.
Yes, I agree with David's comments. I would add to them that it appears to me that the replacement windows you propose are the actual light, the glass area is reduced in some degree.
Yeah.
And that's always a sacrifice. There are already fairly small windows, and you would think that the people who live there would want to have as much actual light coming through their windows as possible. It just gives a heavier look. The whole window sash and frame is heavier. It's has more presence than the originals, not originals, but the ones you're replacing. The other comment I have is that why in the world would you want to have a fixed light for the upper sash and inoperable window when, for one thing, it's impossible to clean on the outside. And it doesn't make sense to me to do that. But basically I agree with David's comments about the historic reference to the double hung. And I'm not so sure that you lose with a new double hung sash, you would lose with thermal pain and all, you lose heat retention any more than you would with an ordinary.
Mark, any responses, any thoughts? Feel free to react to that if it's helpful.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's proven that you have better performances with casement because everything is compressed, whereas hung window slides, so there's air coming through, noise and thermal problems. So there's no point on that. But yes, the proportions are a little different. I can't tell I can't tell you the against that, but from the street view, it's nearly you can't notice it really from down the street view. And the glass difference, the glass surface difference is only 6%, and it's within like the standard. So these are big windows, and the bottom size, the bottom sash, fits in within the egress requirements. It means that somebody can escape through that gate. So we are compliant with all these systems.
Hey, Mark, any other comments or questions from inside the room here? Anybody online want to weigh in with a question or comment? Raise your hand or weigh in. Brad, hand up. Brad, when you're ready, go ahead.
First, I just wanted to thank the chair earlier. I know you thanked us, but thank you for the meeting, the way you've been handling things. Question on this. It has the kid stop on it. It opens up 4 inches, correct? Is that the only tilt back?
Yeah, when it tilts?
Yes, because it's got the 4-inch stop, the city code, so the kid can't go through, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a key on the handle, so you can block it so that the kid can only open that and not open it fully. Yeah.
Well, it's to code. It must be locked at the 4 inches.
Yeah.
At all times. I'm just in agreement with David and Pam. We're not here to talk about the installation. It's purely about the look and the facade. I don't like thicker jams. No matter what, if you look at it, the whole point is they're supposed to match. Now we're only doing it on one floor. I think we've had this standard come before the board many times, and we're pretty tight on it matching existing. And also when it operates, to David's point. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'd like to make a motion that I write a letter recommending to the Landmarks Commission that they do not approve the proposal.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Is anybody opposed online? Members, I mean? No, okay.
Abstentions? And any peonies? And bugs in the whip, okay. Got the count?
Then passes.
Okay,
David, motion passes.
do we have any specific guidance for Mark at this point? Jesse?
No, Mark, as we spoke before at the briefing, we'll be drafting a letter of recommendation that'll go before the full board. The first week in November. That draft should be up next week, next Friday, so you can get a copy of that draft. You're more than welcome to attend the full board. You're not expecting to present in any way, but obviously if folks want to speak at the public session. With their beliefs of whether for or against the recommendation, they can do that at the public session. And once the letter is passed by the full board, we'll send it to LPC and yourself.
All right.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for this presentation and the prep session as well. Much appreciated.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. On that note, we'll move on to the next section, statement of district needs and budget request for fiscal year 2027. Jesse, what's the easiest way to kind of dig into this?
I was gonna pull up,
Yeah,
I was gonna pull up the slides, the spreadsheet that I had shared with all of you guys, and so we can go through expense and capital. This is what we had from last year, and then the agency responses. Obviously, if you want to add something in addition to making a new request, you can certainly do that tonight. I would just say is, typical policy is that it's something that we have obviously already discussed and had voted on some level of recommendation. It can't be something new that has never been brought up to the committee until tonight. The one difference I would like to make sure everybody knows about, and this is literally changed 2 weeks ago, so it's sort of thrown all of us in a little bit of a swing, is that the due to our advocacy, due to the community board's advocacy, especially district managers, just speaking with the Department of City Planning, who's the agency that oversees the statement of district needs, they have shifted it from a sort of, top 40 priority list to an agency specific list. So we're not having to kind of try to get our top 10, top 20, and everybody's committee's getting something into that top 20. It's gonna be broken out by agency. So you don't have to, we can prioritize within the agency, but we don't need to feel like we're creating a master list to send to the budget task force, which means tomorrow, by the way. Of all of these requests. So we want to sort of especially focus on, NYCHA. We can just come up with the top 3 for NYCHA. We can then come up with the top 3 for DOB if we want to do this, something of that nature. So the spreadsheet we're going to look at is based off of the old model, which is sort of like everything combined. So we can break that out a little bit as we discuss it.
And just in terms of process, just to take a half step back to say, this is an annual process for and the community board for all the community boards. Think through the annual capital and expense budget requests. And in the months of September, October, that's when the expectation is that the committees are essentially meeting to present to the budget task force, get content of the budget task force, draft statements and priorities, right? I am on the budget task force and that meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. So this is very time sensitive. Then it's gonna go to the full board, right? So this is a process. I also think it's probably fair to say, Jesse, and maybe you want to weigh in on this. The community board will every committee is spending time thinking about what matters and how to prioritize it. There is typically an agency response ultimately, right, to each request, which is what you can see in the sheets, right? That's the sheet that's up right now. You can see that's a response from the agency and an OMB, Office of Management and Budget response as well. And what is fascinating about these responses is that the agency might say, we can accommodate this, makes perfect sense. And sometimes they say, nope, that's not something we want to do or think we can do. Sometimes the agency says, sure, we can do that. And OMB says, no, need more study on that. That happens too. But I think all in all, I think what's important here is that every community board goes through the same process. All of them are coming up with all these different priorities. They all have to go in front of the agencies, then they all go in front of OMB. And the idea of how to prioritize so that things actually get elevated as important is always going to be a particular challenge. So I just want to sort of note for everybody here, whether this is new process for you or you've been familiar with this, I wish we could wave a magic wand and make sure that anything we put forward is moving forward, but the likelihood of that isn't always something that is reasonable or actual. Jesse, is there anything to add to that as just as framing for this? You've been involved in this process far longer than I have.
Yeah, no, well, that's good, it's fine, and so, I mean, I think it's. I think the question generally can be, honestly, the other committees that have done this so far is, are we comfortable with this as is? And in the order that it is, do we wanna update the language a little bit?
Cut something
We
out?
wanna cut something out, you know, that's how we kind of do it, and if you guys are okay with that, we can then say, okay, we're good with that, we can move on to capital. And go, so I've split, what I've done is taken the, the.
Hold on a second for that. Hold on. Any questions or thoughts before we get into again, because I know this is new for some in the room, so I just wanna give everybody a chance. Any questions or concerns before we jump into line by line? Go ahead.
Before we go to line by line, Health Kitchen Land Use has gone through this exercise already,
Thank you.
and a lot of the land use issues overlap quite a bit. So I have with me all the Health Kitchen Land Use requests, and so we can find a way to integrate them into, so it's like the Department of Building questions. Health Kitchen Land Use has some Department of Building expense items. We have some NYCHA capital items, things like that. So as we go through that discussion, I'll interject with what Health Kitchen Land Use says.
Very, very helpful, much appreciated.
And we
Anybody
have
else
to make
weigh in?
updates, right?
Right.
Like, the things that they said we need to study this, we don't have any updates on whether or not they studied it or outcomes of those studies, and where they said call the agency for more information, did we ever call the agency and get anything?
I'm not positive whether or not, well, let's start by first question first. Do we think that there was a study and follow-up?
No.
Second, are we pursuing this in terms of follow-up? So I would just suggest,
I will be honest, that is probably one place where we could use, help with. Is that these come out, with the answers you're looking at, come out initially in February at the preliminary budget. And then at the executive budget, in June. And so the OMB final responses are the ones that come out in June. But I don't think we historically have had the bandwidth to track down the agency folks to say, okay, when you say, you need to follow up with your agency, what do we do? And I will tell you, I will say that a couple times I have attempted to do that. It's been somewhat fruitless. Just so, because this is an answer that someone in the budget office of that agency wrote for them. And so not necessarily connected to the folks that we normally speak with on an administrative level. So the two don't, it's not like the hands are talking to each other. But that doesn't mean we couldn't try harder going forward.
yeah, I think the takeaway from that is, I think it would be good to pass this to the executive committee to have a conversation about strategy related to these priorities.
Yeah.
And again, the idea of saying how it is that we work together, or subset of community board members work to follow up. We can do that as community board members, and Jesse, you can provide guidance on that, but also you have a limited staff. And we have a bigger body, so this is something we can lean into, so I encourage us to think about that, but I'm happy to bring that to the executive committees the next step. Any other questions before we dig into this line by line? Remember, there's two parts: expense first, capital second. This is the expense side of that. Okay, let's go one by one. And Paul, feel free to weigh in as we do this. Yeah, from your committee's perspective. I see this is labeled here. It's line 11, but it's item number 9. And again, in this case, we're very less about order at the moment.
I would
not worry about
ignore
that.
those numbers. Those are the priority, the overall priority numbers from last year.
Yeah.
So this is our ninth request, at this.
Number
point.
9.
Number 9, but I wouldn't, because it's gonna be all different. It's gonna look completely different.
This is to the Department of Buildings, expand code enforcement, expand funding for Department of Buildings code enforcement staffing to focus on the following points of concern. You can see those there. MCB4 believes the current staffing levels of the agency are insufficient to meet the eventual increased demand for service requests. Agency came back and said, we support and can accommodate remove requests. When they say remove requests, they're essentially saying we got it.
Yes, so, I would also ignore that statement, because that statement was put in by Department of City Planning.
Got it.
Not the agent, not
Okay,
Department
got
of
it.
Buildings.
Got it.
So I would say the agency who supports and accommodate is DOB. Remove that request is DCP, and then explanation goes back to DOB.
And then OMB weigh in says OMB supports the agency's position as follows: agency supports and can accommodate. The agency will discuss any financial impact the city of Yes has and the department as it pertains to staffing at OMB. Remember, all this was constructed before city of Yes was finalized.
Yeah, I mean, this was a major request out of the recommendation from City of Yes, which is that if this goes forward, that there needs to be significant resources provided to DOB, FDNY, all these agencies that are gonna be expected to be inspecting new and different ways of living and working together and all sorts of things like that.
Knowing full well the municipal workforce is down 20,000 positions at the moment. We should keep that in mind as we go forward. So the question is this something that's still a priority, maybe just framing it this way, still a priority to this body? I see some slight nodding. Any thoughts, reactions, questions?
And I can forward if people want, and that last month's meeting, we voted on a letter to 404, 404 West 50th Street. That had come in, and also the next level letter too, is that there's an application to demolish a building in the special district with no process to go in for special permit review, which is what the regulations say need to happen, and they just didn't do it. So they're clearly not staffing appropriately and training appropriately to follow rules and regulations as they exist. So they said yes, but there's no evidence that they actually implemented that, so I think it's important to look at that.
Okay.
How has our community seen the effect of, you just gave an example of town, how's downtown seen the lack of funding affect the stuff that we've been doing, maybe uptown, downtown? The town, Down Abbey, down and upstairs, downstairs. I don't think
Good
we,
question. Don't know. Yeah, don't know.
I mean, I think,
Yeah, I mean, historically, we have not seen since the demo issue has come upon us in the special district, there's been fewer of these issues. I mean, I think fewer of these issues in Chelsea, but I will say you have the most glaring, which is the building on 28th and 9th, right? Am I wrong? Is that that's the related building that they completely tore down. They got away with it. They demoed the entire building and then they got caught. And for it, and HPD has made them have to promise to rebuild that building at its original size and both. And they've yet to do it. It's still a hole in the ground if you walk by it today. And so I will say it's probably less like day to day, but you guys have pretty significant examples of it.
So this may not really
Okay.
fit into this, but potential changes in Chelsea that were not anticipated from the effects of City of Yes. The site where the movie theater was on 23rd Street between 7th and 8th Avenues and the bank is on hold now because of City of Yes. And the rumor, and I think it's a fairly well-rounded one, is that the developer is making a serious effort to purchase all of the buildings west of that site to 8th Avenue and to the 22nd Street corner. So that whole block. If that happens under City of Yes, I don't know what happens. Does the developer then get to build a building without it going through Mueller? If he's able to build something that's bigger than 300 West 23rd Street, which is the biggest building in Chelsea, the biggest residential. Well, that's probably not true anymore, but
West 23rd between 7th and 8th, you said?
23rd Street between 7th and 8th, the south side of the street, there's a large.
I think that's
200 foot
outside the
frontage.
special district, or like the Midtown South district of outside.
I know the 22nd Street between 7th and 8th, the north side is zoned commercially. The
And that
south side
building
of
will go
22nd
through.
Street is zoned residential.
Well, this is why we joined it's 2 points here. One is the special districts and one is just the passage of City of Yes. So I mean, it goes beyond just the special, this request is broader than just the special districts.
So it captures both. I think it sounds to me like there continues to be support for this particular section. Fair? So,
We strike it
any
in.
questions? Yeah, is there anything you want to, anything you want to add to this particular section?
How do we do that?
I mean, say, suggest some language or.
Yeah.
Say you'll write, Greg some language and forward it on to the budget task force.
Throw it right in there, yeah, that's right, that's right. Okay, we can look to strengthen, if there's anything in particular anybody is thinking about in terms of strengthening it, we can certainly do that, but I hear an urgency around this particular item, so we keep it in. Okay, fair?
Yep.
Let's go to the next one. Department of Buildings, once again, other expense budget for DOB. Expand funding for staff to expedite technology upgrades for Department of Buildings website and application process to allow demolition restriction district square to be filled as a yes or no. Forgive me, this was not one I was terribly familiar with. And so I see Paul waving his hand in the distance. So Paul, feel free to wave.
This is the one where within the Department of Buildings former online system, if somebody submitted an application, it didn't automatically check if it was a special district and whether a
Correct.
special permit was required for a demolition. They told us in past years that the old system was too clunky and they couldn't fix it. That's the non-technological way of describing that. With their DOB now, which is their new platform, they should be able to do that, but they still haven't done it. So we had that request in from Fiscal Land Use again last month, the board pushed out a letter on just this issue.
I would say, I mean, Clinton House Kitchen Land Use has already made this a priority. I mean, I think you guys can decide to back it or.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be in there. It's gonna be in
It's
there.
gonna be in regardless, because you're gonna put it forward.
Yeah.
We support, we react, any changes or adjustments made?
I think we should update the language, so I confirmed with you funding to actually, the big issue really was that. Business Information System, which is the DOB's old system,
Mhm.
which I loved. I still love, because I
Don't hear
know
that
it's
often, but okay.
understated,
Sure.
and DOB now, which is much more big, I think. Lends itself to the building applicant and the owners than the actual residents and folks who are like checking on stuff and want to make sure it's okay. But DOB now is the future. We've accepted that, and that's what's happening. But the issue was that the two systems were so far apart technologically that they could not be integrated, and it was gonna take a huge amount of money. They have confirmed with me that they have confirmed that money. It is gonna, they have the money, they will be able to do it. They've got a deadline of trying to integrate the two systems, so we could go to one place and get all of this information. So like right now, if you wanna look up an old building in our district, I would say probably 7 to 8 times out of 10, it's gonna be in biz, it's not gonna be in DOB now, because that is just the old system, that's where you're gonna see stuff. Hopefully, at this point, you're not gonna have to worry about missing missing an application or a document by going to the wrong website or just not knowing where to look. So it's, I will just say maybe we should update the language slightly, say great news, fabulous. But still, we still need to do this, which is this flag that we've been asking for since the beginning of this problem.
I might think about moving for staff. I think it's probably done by a professional services company, 100% DOP staff. So,
100%.
oh, if we hire 5 people, they can do it. No, this is like a higher center to do it kind of thing.
Good,
100%.
good at it, good at it. Okay.
And we should fix the grammatical little typo where it says, the sentence that says owner and the agency when a improper demolition. I think you need an N in there.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Look at
Why the
that.
hell
Look at-
not?
Let's tighten up the grammar too. Let's do it. I love it. All right.
Is there any element in this when a significant change is sent to the DOD that we get flagged, that we get notified?
That's part of our request, I think, that if somebody does submit an application for demolition, because we technically have to go to a special permit to New York, so we would have to get notified.
You look, we get notified, but
Right, but it's similar, like that's what I'm saying, the sequence is we would have to be notified.
I don't see why they wouldn't, I don't see if even adding that language should be a problem.
Yeah,
You guys already had it,
again,
and myself, we should.
you're stupid.
Well, no one wants that. All right, let's, I hear that. Okay, good. I think we got modest edits to that one. Yeah, okay. Inspector, okay, got it. Okay, sorry. Yes, let's get experts on this, not just staffing, clean up grammar. And obviously we need to be persistent about following up on these things from there. Next line, it's line 19, but it's number 17. Department of Buildings, expand code enforcement. Provide additional funding for DOB enforcement inspectors for non-compliant ADA entrances.
This has been on,
This will never happen.
this will.
I'm just gonna say that.
But this has been
I'm
on,
already weighing in and go ahead, never gonna.
this has been on, I think, since I've been here, so.
Me too.
I would,
Yeah,
I
I've
defer
never
to
not seen this
maybe
same.
Pam or David or Marty, you know, Marty, I'm trying to look around the room who's around, but what else around before me, I don't know where this actually stems from.
Right.
And I don't know what the, who, yeah, I mean,
Probably
it's an
Christina
appropriate, I mean, I get the
Budget Task Force.
advocacy, but I just don't know where it all comes from. Like, we
It's
haven't
just-
written a letter about this, we haven't engaged on this in quite a while, so.
Do we have any reason to believe that they're not enforced, that Department of Buildings is not enforcing?
They don't, of course. There's no one to go around looking. They don't. We haven't come up with. the-
But like, do we have any data
Well,
that
it's-
says that
yeah.
the number of complaints are increasing or
Yeah.
anything like
You
that?
have no idea.
We have, there's, yeah, there's.
This refers
What I'm saying,
to all building entrances or just commercial or all?
you're,
everywhere?
whatever you wanna.
Your
You
apartment
know what I-
building, your townhouse, your whatever.
Mhm.
Short answer here is, I'm not, we're not referring to data in this moment, this is anecdotal, so. Could there be data somewhere? It could be, if you poke around Mayor's MMR report, maybe there's something you could poke around at and find something.
But I'm just,
somewhere,
but I think
we're
the
not.
point is that it's not something that,
Like, I don't know that
We
we
don't have
can
that.
point to a real problem, 'cause, like, I look at the data that the Department of Buildings does put out, and it doesn't seem like there's a ton of complaints about this.
no, so the way it works is that the way the complaint system works is that a lawyer finds somebody who's willing to be in a lawsuit. And the lawyer then goes down this block and finds every establishment that might have an ADA issue and sues them all. And that's the data. So I'm not trying to say that DOB does not care about ADA, I think they care about ADA very much. But I'm just saying, we don't have, it's not been anything in my time here that I have information on that we've collected to my knowledge, so.
Okay, so absence of data, not necessarily being tracked, definite concerns. Do we pull this off? Because it's something that's come up year to year and we haven't seen an adjustment.
I would pull it off.
I'm hearing pull it off. Any objection to pull it off?
We will hear from one individual in Chelsea who has made this her life cause. And I suspect that she's the whole reason it's on there to begin with.
Well, I mean, again, I haven't had that,
She has
no one
been
has come and talked to us
advocating.
about this specific issue.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah,
very long.
she's
I will
focused
say,
on the buses.
I will say, public transportation.
She's focused on buses.
Yeah.
She's focused on, well, no, she's focused on the 10th precinct at the moment. She's giving us hell. We're having
Sure.
to have our meetings on Zoom instead
But I
of.
don't think we should
precinct
ever
because of
fund it.
her.
We should
Yeah, I'm gonna-
ask to increase funding for this.
I'm gonna propose pulling. Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
All right. We move out of the.
Understanding and respecting that folks may,
Mhm.
outside of this committee may object, we're gonna move forward with pulling.
Let's
go to-
just going down the line.
Yeah, let's go there.
We jumped at landmarks.
Now it's time for landmarks, other expense requests, reduced case backlog. A couple different references there, increase funding for additional LPC staff in order to expedite recommendations for landmarking. But look at this response, agency does not support that can address, alternatively remove requests, that's from city planning. Explanation, the agency believes the request for additional research department staff is reasonable, however. Funding is not available at this time. LPC doesn't have a case backlog for requests for evaluation. In terms of designation, LPC's research department has a detailed work plan to accomplish significant designation work within the fiscal year, in accordance with the agency's priorities. I mean, look at that. That was a very detailed response from the agency. And then OMB says, you know what, just contact the agency. We don't want to deal with this. Go ahead.
Move it down there. That is one agency we actually haven't spoken, we have spoken to.
We.
Landmarks.
House kitchen land use recommends living in there, pick up the baby from prison, because that's already done.
Yeah, they,
But the fact is that when we, in the very specific example, for MSMX rezoning, we had submitted a list of, I think, 10 or 12 sites to be landmarked. And their response to us was, we can't do that many because we don't have the staff. So not only is there a backlog, but they publicly admitted they don't have the staffing capacity, the landmark buildings that we have filed request order time and time again. So House Kitchen Land Use has strong language in here to say you admit you're not doing your job. So let's keep it in there, fight for the funding that they say exists, which clearly doesn't.
how do you respond to their point that LPC doesn't have a case backlog?
They are lying.
There's that.
They are,
Just curious.
rephrased, they've recategorized, like I was, I would defer to Dave and Pam, but I think they recategorized what they would call a backlog into work plan and.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, so it's in the work plan.
We have personally, just so we all know here too, this is not Chelsea, obviously, but we have, you know, Hell's Kitchen, Clinton Hell's Kitchen land use and the board then in total supported a, Hell's Kitchen Historic District in which we submitted an entire plan for and, you know, spent very good money on getting that plan and promoting it and pushing for it. And that still has not been discussed or considered in any significant way by LPC.
Has there been any response at all?
Thank you.
Really just.
Thank you, and we don't agree that they said there were certain areas in the study that we had identified that they could think about. And then I said, great, what are those areas? Because we'll focus on, them, right? We'll start small, progress begets progress, and they couldn't really come.
And they said, thank you. Brad, go ahead.
Should we state that we put this request in, this study, since 2020, two? And we're waiting on, it's been 3 years on a response, maybe be really specific, like you had the address in there above. Is that something we should consider?
That's fine, I just think it would come from Hell's Kitchen, not,
Yeah,
it would come from Hell's Kitchen, not Clue.
Yeah, we're checking out Bayview, we could add in Patty's Market. It's Patty's
Right.
Market.
Right.
Oh, yeah, Patty's Market and but the broader district, I mean, we just still haven't. You know,
I'm sorry, why would we take out Bayview? I think we submitted the request for evaluation over 10 years ago and never got a response.
2013.
So
it's
12
still,
years ago, never got a response.
Well, we kept getting, we kept
Is there-
asking what's going on and they kept saying, we'll respond, we'll get there, they just. Kicked it down.
Go ahead, Brad. What were you saying?
Is there any chance that we could change the language just slightly? So that it looks like a different request?
you're not talking about this budget request, you're talking about an actual request for evaluation, is that?
No, this particular thing.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you guys can change the wording however you want.
Restate it so it looks like something else again.
Looks-
I think LPC is gonna be wise to that. I think you guys can, I think we can add, I think we should add as many addresses as we think would help bolster this point.
Okay.
And
It's
so,
good to see the work plan too, like accomplish significant designation work within the fiscal year, it'd be good to see, like, what did they accomplish?
Yeah.
What's the plan?
We welcome viewing their work plan. Go ahead.
No, David, I thought that the Bayview was already resolved, that's why we did it. We
Yeah, Bayview is still hanging there, I mean, as far as I know, it's still in their closet.
but the landmarking is.
Oh, the project we put on the list. Okay.
All right, leave it
That's
as
what's there. Okay, we leave this in, we keep it, we tighten it up, we add some more. We add some more addresses to this, yeah.
Alright, back to buildings.
DOB, assign additional building inspectors, provide funds for inspectors to investigate structural stability of landmark buildings and buildings in historic districts for alteration, construction.
Can you slow down? You go so fast that it goes right in one side.
Pamela, you can read it too, he's just reading the
You
text.
think I can read that?
I can make it.
Pamela, thank you. Here it is. Here it is. This is from the DO. Thanks, Pam.
Ah, that's so much better.
Provide funds for inspectors to investigate structural stability of landmark buildings and buildings in historic districts before alteration, construction, or redevelopment, and report to LPC. Community Board 4, other agencies. Agency does not support, cannot accommodate. It said contact the agencies directly for more info, and OMB punts it back to the agency.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think some of us know what this is all about, right?
Yeah, we know what this
Yeah,
is
so
about.
someone want to give a very brief summary as to where this comes from?
You're on.
Gansevoort Market.
Yeah, a developer made a proposal to build a tower in the backyard of 9 row houses that wrap around the corner of 9th Avenue and 14th Street in the Gansevoort Market Historic District. The portion of it that falls within Chelsea, they got approval for a plan that would build that tower and meticulously restore the facades of the buildings once they got approval for the tower, they came back and said, oh, the buildings are just falling apart. They reported themselves to the Department of Buildings. There was a lot of controversy over whether the buildings actually needed to be demolished. But it would have been good if, you know, prior to the project going forward, that had been established. And even the oldest house in Chelsea, which still stands, I think, permit was issued, 2016 to demolish the house on claims that it was structurally unstable. And we need someone who can, check on what the developers themselves or their hired architects are saying about the conditions of buildings. There's another case where,
Still standing.
yeah,
404 is there. Yes, it's got a structure in front of it.
it's been abandoned by the owner, so it was obviously not on the verge of falling apart as planned.
Okay. Well, there's a little background, so where do we wanna go from here?
My suggestion would be that the language, we need to change the language. I think the inspector thing is I think we're trying to use their terminology and their descriptions. But I think what you're saying, David, is actually different than just inspectors, right? You're looking for, it needs to be some.
Independent.
Something between DOB and LPC when these types of buildings, when these types of proposals come up that. You know, because what we ran into is the two agencies were pointing the fingers at each other, right? Remember, it was like LPC doesn't have any teeth, it doesn't have anything to say about this. DOB has nothing to do with preservation, you know, so it was like, there was this ability to just basically walk away and say, well, whatever the developer produces for us, we'll take a look at that and make a judgment call. And I think if we're, you know, I don't think every landmark building needs to go through this process, but I think the one that happened at Gansevoort, others, I think. You know, require some additional, whatever we wanna word it.
Sense of coordination.
Coordination, you know, yeah. Audit, you know, commissioner level audit, whatever you wanna use, something like that.
Okay, coordination, commissioner level audit, strike out the language that they've been using, or that we've incorporated, okay, fair, move forward with that. I like it. Two more to go for the expense side, then we'll switch to capital, although folks may have additional recommendations. The next line is 31, Department of City Planning, other zoning and land use requests, fund homeowner floodproofing measures as a result of flood resiliency. DCP to work with other relevant agencies to create or identify funding streams for tax incentives for small property owners seeking to comply with flood proofing measures, notably in historic districts. The agency did not support, cannot accommodate. They said, contact the agency directly for more information. And then OMB says this request does not seem to be applicable to DCP, I guess is what that is. OMB cannot make a determination at this time. Do we have any thoughts or reactions to this one? Fund homeowner floodproofing measures. This line 31.
What would the agency be?
Good question. What would that agency be? That's not DCP.
How long has this been on?
I think since after Sandy, right? This is all coming from after. So Sandy happened.
From the CABS flood resiliency. We changed.
This is before that, right? This has been, maybe we've added stuff in there,
I've added stuff in.
but like the original was from, so DCP made all these new changes to, cause Chelsea's in a flood zone. It floods all the time, and so we were seeing applications come, you know, either, right, it was either LPC, either LPC applications or others that were dealing with, you know, flood proofing the buildings, either dry proofing them and moving stuff up to the second floor, or wet proofing them. I mean, this is a while ago.
Yeah.
The initial
2011.
might have been, we might have added stuff in there, but you said yes.
Critical, hugely important issue. I'm gonna suggest perhaps that we strike, because right now, we don't have something I think we're gonna get traction on. Unless we edit, amend, or otherwise change what they're asking for a response.
Yeah, I think the request needs to change. I don't think.
So if there's something different,
DCP's not gonna pay for it.
How can you change, for example,
I defer to you guys.
Check the weather.
Just to give you a quick example, more often than not, we usually provide some kind of mechanism. So if we ask for a funding stream that is based on whatever money that they might otherwise be spending on larger properties, a percentage of it should go to it, something of that nature. You have to give some kind of a mechanism for city agency to work with.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't know, I gotta say that is going on, I would say that. Like, it's going outside of the budget request, because the mechanism is not the budget.
No, it's not.
It's the, if you're coming up with a tax.
that's a legislative issue, that's a legislative issue.
Yeah.
All right, I'm moving to strike on this one. Okay, let's move on to the next
Why
one. Go ahead.
Chair, why don't we say we did congestion pricing and that was supposed to be for the environment? Maybe there should be a fund set up for small homeowners that could do this. Because it's supposed to be an environmental tax. And we haven't even gotten a tree out of this money. So maybe that's an idea.
I think that's, I would suggest that that's a important comment and also an important thing to stress. I don't think it's an expense request.
No.
So again, I just don't think it falls into this.
I think it's.
So Brad, I think you're hitting something on a nail on the head, but I just don't think it relates to expense.
I think if you guys wanna have a conversation about it throughout the year and have something come up.
Yeah, let's,
For next year, I think that's.
all right, let's put this one in our back pocket and circle back.
The mayor's office have an environmental division.
The Office of Environmental something.
Yeah.
Justice.
That's what I could say.
Yeah, it's, I believe it's that one. All right, I'm gonna ask this to strike this one and put this in our back pocket. And we can circle back to this conversation, but I think this is outside the scope of expense request. Let's go to line 50, line 48. Oh, gosh, sorry.
That this is important.
Yes.
I don't
Yes,
I don't mind putting it on our checklist during the year.
Yeah.
I would mind dropping it.
okay, yeah, so let's, in much the same that we talked earlier about how we strategize, about how we follow up on these items, let's, as a committee, strategize how we address this issue. I just don't think this is the right
And
format.
you're putting it on the agenda.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Line 50, number 48, Department of Buildings.
It's a win, we got it.
Got it, really? Okay, here it is.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's what I was saying before about DOB.
Oh, there it is, yes.
Building
that's it.
system and BOD now, they've confirmed that they can actually
Yeah.
do it, so.
So we can strike this because it has been accomplished.
It's been
Fair to say?
It's been fun, it hasn't been accomplished yet, but it's been fun.
Fun, okay.
So why take it out? Let's leave it in until next year until we know they actually do
Cause they're doing it, I mean, they have the money. Well, if you guys wanna leave it in, it's fine, it's just gonna be, it'll just be on the very bottom.
Yeah, I would suggest, like the last item, this is one that I think we need to hold ourselves accountable for tracking down, but I don't think it doesn't make sense to make it an expense item if expense has already been plugged in.
Always, yeah.
But we have to track it down. So I'm gonna suggest that we pull and use our own budget task force, executive, this committee to try to make sure that progress.
DOB will be happy to come and talk to us about this.
Oh, good.
Like I said,
That'll be fun.
Of all agencies that are.
Okay. Okay, do we have additional expense requests? Paul, fire away.
Well, it does impact Chelsea as well, Health Kitchen Land Use. As a request to city planning to request a study in the cumulative impact of Bueller approvals since January 2021 on public infrastructure demands, particularly on public safety, schools and recreational services. The request would include a forward perspective study taking into consideration specifically the rezonings in Midtown South, MSMX, City of Yes, and a review of the future impact of NYCHA, Elliott, Chelsea, Fulton redevelopment and ESD sites, specifically Site K and Intrepid, that are now in the early stages. So we're basically asking them to study, right now, if a developer comes forward with a plan and it doesn't trigger an EIS, and you're needing school seats, you have 4 or 5 applications come in cumulatively, and there's no direct study of school seats. So we're asking, because of the volume of development that's been happening in our district, that they go back to 2021 and say, what has been the impact on schools, public safety, recreational services and needs, and take into consideration what is coming, because we will be facing a huge influx of development in the coming years. We know the, nitrogen redevelopment is gonna add bodies. The Site K redevelopment will add bodies, the Intrepid will add bodies. Let alone the fact that we're now gonna have 18 FAR residential proposals with high density. But there's no system in place to know what that means in terms of police, fire and safety and all this. So
Marty, go ahead and then
Not
we'll
to
grab
mention
you
the
next.
sewer system.
Sewer.
Your statement, the cumulative thing is so important. In what you just read, in one of the lines, you said the future impact. And it should say the cumulative future impact. I just want to insert a word into what you just read.
That's good.
This cumulative issue has been going on in this board for as long as I can remember. And we even have dismissed it, and I'm so glad it's coming to a head.
Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the simplest way I could say this is, as a land use committee, it's like we're building barns for horses now, and the future of transportation is changing. And I would like to see some type of study on our district and the impact that it could have with land use to accommodate future transportation, specifically drones, deliveries, the what, we are just missing out. I mean, we really are. And there's no talk about it. And there's no study about it. There's no, let's go put it at the pier. Let's take half of the pier where the tow pond was for commercial operations. We are missing the boat. And I really think we need to have some type of language asking for a study. Because we're just missing out. And I think this is a new one that I've been pounding for years, but I really believe that we really need to be looking a little bit down the road here.
A lot of head nodding.
As you guys know, we asked the people that are doing the tunnel now with the tracks, are you putting a high-speed track in there? And the room went crickets. $16 billion. It's shocking because nobody was talking about that 14 years ago when they're trying to get the money. So I just think that should be, Paul could probably frame it better than I can, but that's my suggestion.
Well, we can go with that. It's good, yeah. A lot of head nods. Good thought, Brad. A lot of nodding heads as that was happening, Brad. Thank you.
Might be a silly question.
Bingo.
Priority.
Bingo.
Push it up. Okay. I follow you in that.
All right,
Other expense items, anything else?
going to capital.
Going once, going twice, sold, go to the capital. Thank you, everybody. Great job on expense. Great job on expense, everybody. That was great. All right, capital, here it is.
Make it smaller so.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here it is. Agency responses, MCB4 FY 26 capital budget request. Edit there to make. Okay, here it is. One line. Housing Authority, renovate or upgrade public housing developments. Complete interim repairs, Fulton and Elliott Chelsea houses. Residents of Chelsea and NYCHA FEC have been promised ongoing repairs while the redevelopment on both campuses is being considered. This request includes increased security, elevator maintenance, mold remediation, and repairing leaks, among other items. Oh, what did they say in response? Agency supports and can accommodate, remove request, evaluation. For more information on the capital needs and current projects at Fulton Elliott Chelsea, please see NYCHA's capital projects tracker here. Additionally, FEC is converting through the PAC program. Please see here for latest information. OMB, agency supports and can accommodate. Explanation. For more information, go to those websites. Yes, they literally cut and pasted from that previous box. Paul, I see your hand up. You want to weigh in on this one?
Also
Feel free.
discussed at House Kitchen Land Use. And the issue was raised that because of the PACT movement here, going through the PACT program, that there were capital funds set aside, but now that the PACT program is taking over those capital expenditures, they're saying they're gonna do it through the PACT program. The question is, where are those dollars that they had set aside that weren't spent? And we wanna make sure that those dollars stay in this district. So the language changes slightly, because of the PACT program going in a different direction of capital expenditures being taken care of through that. But we want to know that those dollars are not being taken out of the district. So that's what else did you use as a question of.
Chelsea land use, how do you feel about that?
Yeah,
Nodding,
I would just say, I think that's right, but I think just to, my memory, not to further everybody in the room, there last year. My memory about this, really where this came from was that we did not want to see the residents get lost. Their repairs get lost in this process, that promises for a new apartment, a new building, new amenities are all are important and significant, but we did not want to. You know, you guys, I think, felt very clearly, you heard again and again and again at meetings about, you know. The situation in people's apartments and you didn't want that to be lost or forgotten about, and so, you know. Where the money comes from, I don't know.
So it's a
We care.
two-part here, I assume, I mean, that, I would assume we would keep this on.
I think you would, I mean,
I think
I
it
speak
seems to me there's
But
additional
some
element.
of what Jesse just said is
Yeah,
written about,
strengthen.
it's not getting lost, needs to be included.
I agree to keep it. I'm just curious, like, how does the bridge plan fit in with this? Not that they're doing much, but
So-
what is happening?
It's a great question, and it could be referenced in the explanation that we're familiar with the bridge plan, we know there's been progress, but we also know based on the tracking. That has not completed every repair, it's not completed all repairs substantially, and also we know that there are things that the bridge plan doesn't even touch.
Yes.
Like the elevators.
And there's also an outstanding letter from our community board that we just approved. Maybe that should be referenced as well.
We can reference that.
Yeah, absolutely. Take that, housing authority. Brad, do you have your hand up? Do you want to jump in on this?
I think that's left open.
Well, I know for this room, I don't want to use a line from our president's secretary, but it's promises made. We want promises kept. I mean, in general, I agree with everybody. We can't take it off. I think we got to hammer it down more. So.
Yeah. Well, we can be specific in this one about what we've seen that's been accomplished and what is still outstanding. Based on the data that you can see, some of this stuff is actually shown. I mean, there's other anecdotal concerns, but we could talk about that as well.
I think Marty's suggestion about our letter, it's.
And we got a letter.
Right, I think we might also want to include facade inspections since they're.
Yes, they're the third item. Yes, thank you. Which we had written about before. We leave that one in. Okay. We're on fire with capital. Okay, any other capital items? That's it.
Oh, good.
Marty. Oh, Paul's got his hand up. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, just to let everybody know that, we deal with Chelsea, Elliott, Fulton House here, but Harborview is also within our district.
Yeah.
And we have similar outstanding requests at Harborview for repairs, maintenance, elevators, all of that is going on at Harborview. And, the last response was, the agency supports but cannot accommodate, resubmit request, thus we are resubmitting the request.
Okay. Okay.
I would just also like to add on to, capital is the one place that you can do continuing support. I think we should continue to add language in the continuous focus and completely separate. List for the EMS station. That's come before you guys as a alert, it's still not, you know, wrong has been broken. You know, so I think we should just continue to make sure we advocate for that.
Okay, is he nodding on that?
We also have another request to HPD and capital to provide adequate capital subsidy for the multifamily preservation loan program. And the senior affordable rental apartments, SARA, for some affordable housing complexes at West 52nd, West 55th Street. I'm sorry, 52 and 25th Street. So those are in here, oops.
You should, okay.
I had a question.
Go.
Should the Chelsea, Fulton, Chelsea, Elliott and Harborview points be referencing each other? Because they're so similar.
And it's all about how content I think is produced and shared, right, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, they're just very two different projects. I mean, Harborview is now, doesn't have PAC, right now at least, this. So that PAC project, it's not, it doesn't have the same issue. I mean, it has issues in terms of what's happening in the building, but like, we can certainly reference them, but I don't think you wanna combine them. You don't, they're two different.
No, not.
No, but what I heard was just referencing.
Yeah, two different, we can, yeah,
Maybe.
They're separate. They're separate but similar requests.
Okay. That's probably in there.
Yeah, they always have that, and we just we had a request for a power review and we had a request for LA from Chelsea, Chelsea. But they were separate requests.
Yeah.
Any other capital projects? I think we've covered the capital projects at this point. Oh, wait a minute, I see a hand up.
Continuing support, is that a separate category?
Separate category, but I mean, yeah.
Brad's
Well-
hand up.
Brad, yeah.
Brad, go
Oh,
ahead.
Thanks, guys. I'd like to put a specific capital request for using what they did on the Upper East Side for the rats, where they're using dry ice and going into all the pits. And maybe we could just be really specific on a few roads, streets that we want to put down if we want to get that specific. I mean, that's a real thing. I think that's related to land because it's in the tree pits. I don't know if that's,
I would say you probably got probably 2 or 3 other agencies that probably would wanna have something to say about that before we will do it in your budget request. I think you got parks, I think you got transportation. So Brad, I think it's a fine idea, I just think you need to have it before those committees first.
What, we have the budget task force meeting tomorrow, so we can talk about, I can make prompt that.
Yeah, but
I prompted tomorrow.
yeah,
And we have there's a large construction project that's gonna be happening on Seventh Avenue, right? They're laying water pipes.
Yeah,
That's going to be huge because critters will come up and burrow their way into the garden bed, so that's a big thing.
And each of those committees have talked about that.
all right, so make sure we talk about that tomorrow at the budget task force. I'm happy to elevate, but rats,
Great conversation.
critter conversation. Tomorrow, just in case it doesn't come up with the other committees, we can prompt it then.
Yeah, we're going back to Jesse's original point about, we usually make budget requests based on letters we've written in the past year or two, and it would be helpful if we had any letters on rats from previous committees, because I don't know if anything came out of this committee or Health Kitchen, but there was some adjustments in Ballston Park for rats, so maybe that was what from Parks, no, that was for this.
let's see you guys.
All right, so at this point, instead of adding, we'll bring it to the budget task force tomorrow and see where critters land and
And
see what.
just so you know, waterfront and parks had an inordinately extended conversation about rats at that last meeting.
Oh, okay,
Why don't you publish a letter?
I didn't think a letter came out.
the rats need it.
I thought you did.
Oh, is it?
here, I'd just like to say one thing. I don't know if we want to just, when you bring it to the task force tomorrow, and thank you for doing that. I'm just requesting, let's just give us a pilot program, because maybe we get a win on that. And then it gets a little more political backing. So that's just my suggestion for tomorrow at your meeting. Thank you.
I follow you. I follow what you're saying. I think it's a conversation to have with the other committees to try to strategize how best to put that forward. I hear you on that, bro. And I'm willing to bring that over to tomorrow's conversation. Pamela, go ahead.
So speaking of water main replacement, as you brought up, from 34th Street to 14th Street, 7th Avenue, including several crosstown streets through Chelsea. This is going to be very damaging to the roots of our street trees, both on the avenues and specifically, more pointedly, on the crosstown streets. Could there be something that would mitigate, that would require the people who are doing this project to mitigate the loss of these trees, because it's gonna kill trees for sure. There's no way that they can dig the kind of trenches in the streets, particularly when the mains aren't in the middle of the street, if they're closer to one side or the other. The roots of all of those trees, and we work so.
Can I make a recommendation before Vera says that this was presented officially to Transportation Planning Committee this month, that
That's the only thing I was gonna say, I actually brought that up. Well, the same question I brought up, and their answer was, they do not expect that to be a problem.
Well,
I would have said, why don't we add that as a friendly amendment?
I think we should, I mean,
Very
come
good.
on.
I think it's a letter.
It is,
We
okay.
should add that. Can I just quickly tell you something?
Go ahead, okay.
I got a new tree replaced in front of my building.
Mhm.
Guess what happened? The rats ate it up.
Oh,
I'm not even joking.
What do you?
Yeah, the rats.
The rats, they eat the roots. They die. I mean, you pour water, what do you do? They die.
Well, I'm talking about something a little different. I'm
Exactly.
talking about
Now,
the roots
this is
being
the- this is
exposed
the-
or chopped off, which they will be,
yeah.
for sure.
So even if the main is in the metal, my worry is that when digging happens, it's not gonna come out.
The next thing will come out.
Oh, of course they are.
Can we just put this conversation on hold for 1 second?
Sure.
Because we need to vote on what you guys just discussed.
Brad has his hand up, so I wanna make sure, what do we, you wanna add something, Brad?
Yeah, Pam, I've done this work, and so what DOB actually requires, and I'm surprised they responded the way they did, that nothing's gonna happen. Every tree has to be tested and checked every month. There's a list of approved arborists that they use, like Bartlett or somebody. And they check the trees because they gotta cut them back, they check the roots, and anything goes bad, they have to buy like 5 more trees. It costs a lot of money. But they're supposed to monitor every tree. They have to do a report.
So is it Parks Department that does the monitoring? Through
No,
their
they haven't.
sub-
That you have a certified arborist has to come out and,
They
you
have
know,
standards, tree protection, but.
yeah, and you're checking the trees and you're showing you've got the report.
I don't think it hurts to add additional language to the letter. I think DDC is the DEP is the funding stream for this. DDC is the physical arm to do the project. DDC is on the hook. It has a contractor. The contractor is on the hook. So Brad is right. If they damage a tree, they have to replace it 10 times over or whatever the number is, but I don't think it doesn't hurt to be, added stronger language to it.
Thank you.
All right, on that note, we need a vote on what we have discussed.
Someone needs to make a motion.
So we need a motion to do that.
I vote
Motion,
yes.
get back in, okay, good. All those in favor?
I,
Thank
All
you.
right, unanimous.
Thank you online. I think we're unanimous on that. Any opposed? Staying in a. Jesse, passed gallery notes, yes? What? You got it? I got it. Vote recorded. Okay. We've now entered into the old new business section. At this point, I do not have old or new business to propose at this point. Which leads me to say the following thing. If anybody wants to make a motion to end tonight's meeting,
I will make the motion.
Second.
and it's second, all those in favor?
Hi.
It's great to see you, Clue. We're back in business, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Let's get out of here.
Wow.
Good night,
And
everybody.
it is only 5 minutes to 8.
Thank you.
And the treats were fantastic.